Esselink, Simon Murray is welcome to Sammon's Pizzeria for this 6-game super weekend of Scottish football action. Diving into the pizzeria this week is Goggsy, Adam, and Josh. It is, I think, quite a well. I think there's a lot of good emotions going into this podcast this week. I mean, Goggsy may be slightly indifferent, but I think for Adam, Josh, and myself, certainly quite positive feelings after what was a pretty good weekend of Scottish Premiership football. Certainly 5 games were pretty decent. I mean, one was terrible, and we'll probably skip over that quickly. But anyway, I think Goggsy, you're at the top of the screen. You seem like you've got something to say. How are you getting on?
Oh, I just want to say this is the sexiest panel I've been on.
Don't know how I'm going to feel about that, but
well,
I think we have to call HR.
What game are we going to talk about first?
Well, I think there's. I had an idea of what we could do. I think I'll ask Adam and Josh later on, and I think we'll probably go into that in a bit more detail. Adam, you seem to have been. You seem to be in a very dark place there, quite literally, not figuratively. How are you getting on?
This time last year I was in a pretty dark place, figuratively and literally. Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to discussing 5 of the games, maybe one not quite as much as you pinpointed right at the start. But yeah, all good here. Hope that's the same for your good self.
Aye, pretty good. I know Hibs getting that point really was a downer for you, but I'm sure we can move on. And Josh, I think you're probably even happier than I am. 5,000 odd days you've had to wait for this, so yeah. And as you can see, you're in your banana away kit as well. So, and how's the come down, if you can call it that, or has it been come down, or are you still feeling as high as you were yesterday?
No, I mean, I'm still high as a kite. It's been well worth the wait. And as you said, been kind of 15 years since we've won a top flight match, and let's just hope that can be the catalyst for a few more.
Yeah. Well, I think we should probably just dive in. So the big game of the weekend, it was broadcast around the world. It was the Old Firm. It finished Rangers 0, Celtic 0. Moving on to the actual bigger game of the weekend, which was the Dundee Derby, the 2:00 kickoff on Premier Sports between Dundee United and Dundee at Dens Park, or the Kilmac Stadium at Dens Park, I think as we have to call it nowadays. I think probably not the best Dundee Derby I've seen in my life, but quite a one-sided one. Certainly not the most one-sided, but a very one-sided derby in favour of the good guys of DD3. I think it was a great day of football in action. Great. It's always a bit nervous for a derby. I think, especially in my lifetime, Dundee United haven't always been in the same league. So winning a derby is more relief than jubilation. But it was very much a pretty good game of football from United's point of view. Some very good play. Sapsford came back into the team. He opened scoring after 12 minutes. Great cut ball from Ivan Dolček, and it was Dolček who would score the winner 12 minutes from time. Hence the singing that you might have heard at the start of the podcast, but that was more for Bert Esselink, of course, who kept Simon Murray right in his back pocket the whole game and really looked undeterred in a Dundee team that looked quite poor. I think even probably the poorest league performances. He's not as bad as the League Cup, but pretty bad all round from Dundee. Goggsy, I'll probably start with you. I think you were watching the game. You've been to Dundee derbies in the past. What did you think?
I just thought it was quite a damp squib, to be honest. I was expecting a better performance from Dundee, and obviously if one side doesn't really perform in a derby, it's not really a classic, is it? I mean, you'll be delighted with the 3 points, of course, but I just thought I expected a bit more from Dundee, to be honest.
Adam as well. I mean, I think you were watching on the telly as well. I mean, that's if you hadn't gouged your eyes out by it from the match that was on at 12 o'clock. But what did you think of the? What do you think of Dundee? Really, I think obviously I've got my own biases on that. What did you kind of make of Dundee's performance?
I was very tempted to gouge my eyes out having watched that Old Firm, but yes, I did sit through the Dundee derby because for me, it's Scottish football's most underrated fixture by a country mile. I don't think there's even a debate. And I think I'd probably go along with what Goggsy says. I thought United were decent, but ultimately they didn't really have to be at their best to beat Dundee. Such as the kind of up and down nature of their early season so far. For as decent as they were at Ibrox, it just looked like 11 different players playing in this match, as it has done for, as you said even earlier, the vast majority of their League Cup campaign. So, yeah, I think there's more to come, obviously. I think that was Simon Murray's first game back from injury, if I'm not mistaken. And Jan Danda's obviously an addition from my lot. So I'm intrigued to see how those two link up moving forward. But I think defensively, Dundee really did not cover themselves in any glory, never mind much glory, particularly the goalkeeper and a couple of members of that back three.
Yeah. I think it's quite interesting having the sort of chat before the games how solid Dundee were defensively, which is something I didn't quite buy, given given that we watched them in the League Cup, and I think it was more that Rangers didn't really offer anything and Killie really couldn't take their chances in the two opening league games. But I think it's probably more maybe a kind of return to the mean from maybe what you'd probably say two very good performances in those two games, where against Rangers, no doubt they should have won that game. I think they were very, very unlucky with some very dubious decisions not to win that game, and the Killie game, I think it was a pretty solid performance. I don't think Killie probably did enough to win the game, but Dundee didn't offer a lot going forward. I must admit, I was very surprised at just the lack of cohesion going forward. It was a derby in my mind that United didn't really have to get out of second gear. I always felt that United could probably up the tempo any time. I was actually a bit worried at 1-0 and I think Dundee had 3 corners in quick succession. Given that United did, you'll have seen from the Hearts game a few weeks ago, that's been United's weak area is aerial balls in the box, but Dundee didn't really challenge with those balls, and United clearly got a lot better at dealing with high balls in the box. But I must admit, it was quite poor from their perspective. Great from my perspective, but quite poor from a Dundee perspective. But the one boy I want to really highlight, it was two players I want to highlight, but one is Panucci Kamara, who has joined Dundee United from Crawley, a signing that people probably, I'll admit, I had never heard of Panucci Kamara until he signed, and he has been, I think, another excellent find from Goodwin and Goodwin, the head of recruitment, Ross Goodwin, and it's been he looks like a player that has instantly just adapted to Scottish football. The way he can I think there was a lot of chat about replacing players that had left. Babinski had left. Panucci Kamara looks like a better version of Babinski. He's more agile, stronger, quicker on the ball, and a lot more sensible about when to react to tackles and whatnot. He was absolutely fantastic and completely ran the midfield show, especially when United were playing a 3-4-3, which usually leaves gaps in the middle of the park. He looked clearly the best player in that midfield battle, and I think kind of shows again the kind of recruitment that's been taking place. But I mean, I don't kind of want your opinion on this just because of your tactics knowledge and your star rating knowledge. Bring me back to Earth here, because I think we're going to challenge for the title or something at this point, which is clearly not going to happen. But try and pour some ice on what I'm trying to say here.
It kind of reminds me a wee bit of Jean-Do Fuchs. I don't know if that's a fair comparison to make, but kind of the similar build and kind of that rugged, kind of rough, tough tackling midfielder, but can play. Yeah, excellent. Because again, as you've rightly highlighted there, he didn't arrive with, I think, any fanfare. Never mind much fanfare. So I think United's recruitment has been pretty good. I was probably one of them that was a little bit sceptical because it seemed like a lot of changes very quickly in that short space of time. And I felt as though they'd kind of lost a backbone of players that have played in Scotland for the vast majority of their careers, know what to expect at visiting grounds and what have you. I also really like Ivan Dolček, who certainly impressed me in the game at Tannadice earlier on in the season. I think he bagged the brace against Hearts that day.
He did, yeah. He's top scorer. He's top scorer in the league now.
There you go. He looks another real find. But yeah, I think I've probably underestimated Dundee United in terms of kind of my pre-season predictions. So I don't see any reason why they can't finish, I would say top 6 minimum, and probably pushing towards the European places.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, kind of seeing Dolček's another one that the news today is that he's signing a permanent deal, or certainly that's United's impression. The fee reportedly is about €100,000, which if that's the case, I think that's the signing of the window. We'll get on to obviously Hearts' transfer business and we will on Hibs' business, but €100,000 for a guy who's top scorer in Scotland and I think has probably been an 8.5 out of 10 player in every single game he's played in. I'm genuinely like that. He reminds me a lot of. He reminds me a bit of Craig Conway, a bit of GMS, a kind of mix of the two of them. Just taking us 15 years to replace him, but I think it's a prime example of where I think Goodwin has been able to replace players that a lot of people thought, I don't think it'd be tough to find better. Glenn Middleton left, and a lot of people, myself included, were like, I don't really want to see him go. I think he's a player that could do a really good job for us. And all of a sudden, Dolček came in and he scored more goals than Middleton has in the last 2 seasons. So it's another. I think there's been a lot of criticism of United's transfer policy, especially from some corners, but the lack of Scottish players that are playing. Mostly that's been through injury, in fairness to the United. But the players that have came in from lesser known regions of football, more places like the Balkans, Central Europe, and the lower leagues of England have again performed to very high standards so far. I do think there's probably a few things that United still need to work on, and I think the fact United don't play Celtic to the end of this kind of block of games is quite helpful. Being out of the League Cup is probably a blessing in disguise. I would have loved us to get into Europe, but I think being out of Europe is also helps gel the team, because that Rapid game and the game against Hearts, I think it's clear that United were dead on their feet. But yeah, I think it's great to see. And in my view, this is probably one of the most enjoyable United teams that I've watched in a long, long time. Probably since that Mackay, Stephen, Armstrong, Gold team in 13-14 period. And that's down to sort of players that you can instantly fall in love with, like Dolček, Sapsford as well, who from Western Sydney Wanderers, most people thought this is going to be another Jamie McLaren type player, already looking like he's going to be a big star. And another big game player. He scored six goals in his last 7 City derbies. He scored 5 in his last 6 in Sydney derby, and he scored 1 in the Dundee derby. So I think that kind of goes to show what type of big game player he is. But yeah, enough of me rambling. I think I've been rambling way too long, and I think I have to put the other big story from the weekend is that 15-year wait Josh has been waiting. Josh was probably about 2 when Arfield played in that win at home to St Mirren in 9th of April 2010. I did remember the start. I did remember the exact date. Match day 33. Aberdeen 0, Falkirk 1. I could go into the stats about it, but Josh, how happy are you to finally see your team win a Premiership game?
Honestly, absolutely delighted. I think Falkirk They made a good start to the season against Dundee United on opening day. I thought they put on a reasonable display, but defensively just a little bit vulnerable at times. It was a new partnership between Henderson and Nielsen at centre half. I think they've taken a little bit of time to warm up to each other and really get that connection. But I think having the postponed Hibs game really was beneficial to Falkirk. Just time to reset. 2 weeks of actually integrating some of the new players into the side. Henry Cartwright, on loan from Leicester in centre mid, he had a phenomenal game. Again, he's had more time to train and really build the connections with likes of Spencer and Tate in the midfield. Nielsen looked strong, and just all round everyone seemed to be kind of more connected, more gelled.
Yeah, and I think it was obviously. I think Aberdeen kind of started the game the stronger of the two sides. I think it's to be expected given that they're probably their unceremonious exit from Europe, which again probably talk about terrible refereeing decisions. That's probably one of the worst ones I've seen in a long time. But they started probably first half better until Devlin was sent off for what my opinion was a red card, and I think a good use of VAR. I know some Aberdeen fans on Twitter have be fair, I was going to say, I know some Aberdeen fans on Twitter, they've had a very bad weekend. Seeing the Ossie go to Rangers and very bad few days. Out of Europe, the worst possible draw any team got on all 3 European draws. Their hero goes to who they would claim is their biggest rivals. And going down to 10 men and losing at home to Falkirk and remaining bottom of the Premiership. Not the best time. So
having not scored a league goal yet either. It's brilliant.
There are no points.
Yeah, no points, no goals. So as a collective, we have actually been checking on Thomas. He's suffering. He's having a bad time. We do wish him well. We do hope that he's feeling better and can join us.
And long may it continue.
I was going to say, speak for yourself.
Mental health is important, guys.
They deserve it for rubbing in the cup win in our faces.
It's very much reaping and sowing, I think, we're having.
How did you win the Scottish Cup? I've not mentioned it.
No, Aberdeen, they did start. The first half an hour was pretty much all Aberdeen in control, moving the ball from side to side. Keskinen was by far their best player in the first half. His pace is a huge asset for them. Him playing on the left, I think, was actually a disadvantage to them. Keelan Adams is Falkirk's fastest player at right back, and he did really well to, I wouldn't say stop him, but slow them down, made it slightly more difficult for him. I think if he'd played on the other side, he would have had the beating of Leon McCann and maybe been able to get some balls in the box and put Falkirk under a bit more pressure. He had a great chance where Keskinen cut inside and he got a shot into the far corner through a crowd of bodies, but Scott Bain, who I think had a tremendous game before he got subbed off injured, down fast to beat it around the post. And there was another controversial moment other than the red card where Yengi was offside and quite clearly offside. Play continued and then collided with Scott Bain. Bain's potentially broke his thumb, is the report. So obviously the assistant's delaying the flag to potentially check for an offside, but that's caused an injury to a goalkeeper that could be out for up to 3 months. I think that's a poor decision, and if it's a clear offside, you need to get the flag up quicker. But Aberdeen had probably 4 shots on target that Bain managed to deal with pretty well, and then Nicky Devlin, I think the sports scene panel summed up pretty well. He doesn't need to go in with that much force. He's kind of facing his own goal. When the studs are raised after the challenge, it's not necessarily how high up it is. He's follow through when he's coming down. He's really dragging the studs into Calvin Miller's thigh, and he's dragging them all the way down his leg. And it's just, it's not necessary. I think it is a red card. At first, I'll sound like Alan McCoist here. On first viewing, I didn't think it was a red. And then you see it slowed down and there's no danger.
It really is. It really is. That's a terrible impression. I'm sorry.
Can I just chime in here? I think it was always going to happen. We were always going to have an injury at some point because the lino doesn't raise a flag. And I think we've been waiting for a while for it to actually happen. And unfortunately, it happened to your boy. But I mean, it's one of these things where we actually have to speed up the raising of the flag because, again, that's going to just happen on a regular basis.
I get that, but I can see this as a bit of an unfortunate. It's one of these things that's unfortunately going to happen. You're going to continue play because especially when it's a player that's running through, sometimes assistant referees can misjudge that completely just by the pace differential of players running at different speeds coming forward and going backwards. But they're going to have to play on because there's been a number of instances where players have been through on goal, even in the VAR era when they've been flagged because it looked obvious when they haven't actually been offside. If I can remember,
Shelby.
John Joe Shelby was one, but I was even thinking like I think Celtic Hearts, the first game when VAR was introduced, the Hearts Celtic, where there was a Celtic had a goal chalked off because the whistle was blown before the ball had actually went in the net, even though it wouldn't have affected anything, but they couldn't give the goal. There's been those situations, so I can understand why the assistants had to wait. It's just an unfortunate thing that Yengi's collided with Bain, and it's crap for Bain and it's crap for Falkirk. But unfortunately, I think that's just one of these bad luck things. I think one of the similar wasn't an offside, but a similar type of collision is the one obviously. I think myself and Adam witnessed between Stephen Fletcher and Craig Gordon, which was again two players coming together, no malice between it, but happens in end in a horrible injury. I remember still hearing that, which was not pleasant. It was quite near where I sit.
Ruined Craig Gordon's Christmas, that's for sure, and basically his career.
Definitely. I mean, like I say, I could hear what happened. It was not very much not nice, and it's one of those ones where you instantly know a player was really badly injured. But I think it's one of those ones where you've got to give a little bit of leeway to the officials. It's a hard job, and I think they're always going to get those ones wrong, and it's just very unfortunate that it's happened. It's resulted in a serious injury to Scott Bain. Any other player in the park, a broken thumb probably wouldn't be serious, but of course for a goalkeeper it's quite essential. But apart from that, I think
he did manage to play on for about 40 minutes, and he made some crucial saves in that time. So fair play him for trying to play through the pain barrier. But about 70 minutes mark, he did say enough was enough. But Falkirk to get in at half time, because I think the red card was about 40 minutes, to get in at half time 0-0, and really we'd been knocking on the door even just before the red card. We'd kind of grown into the game. The momentum just completely swung in Falkirk's favour, and second half we just used that extra man to our advantage. We brought on new signing Kyrell Wilson on loan from Swansea, and he is rapid. He's within the first minute of coming on, he basically chased a lost ball and won a free kick because I don't think anyone in the stadium expected him to get to even make a challenge, never mind win the ball. And he certainly changed the game, and within 3 minutes of his debut, he drifts inside, starts the move, lovely 1-2 between Tate and McKeever, and he's just the right place, the right time to slot home and score that all-important goal. And for a guy who's, he's played National League last year, I think, for 6 months, and he's come up for a first time in a top flight. He's got his goal. It's a lot of confidence for a young lad, so delighted for him.
I was going to say, it's definitely something you see from under 23 players, and it's something you probably don't think about, but playing in front of 20,000, but 18,000 at Tawdry, it is a big deal for these U23 players that have only played the National League or League Two in England. Aberdeen is, despite their current form, still a big club. It's a hard place to go, literally, rather than actually playing. It'll give him the world of confidence, surely, and it's a signing that Falkirk have been crying out for. I mean, I think it's been quite well documented, the lack of transfer activity in Grangemouth this summer.
I don't know who this Grangemouth malarkey is, but no, it was certainly needed some players in. 9 players on the treatment table currently, if you include Scott Bain now. So to get the likes of Wilson in for Swansea, we've got another boy, Ogun Saye from Sunderland, young striker, and Ethan Williams in from Man United now. So we're really getting some young guys from kind of top clubs down south in the door, which can only be a benefit to John McGlin's selection process.
Obviously, as a club, I think there's been a lot of enthusiasm around Falkirk. The ticket sales have been well documented as well. But just kind of want your perspective on it, Josh. Is it seem like from the higher ups at the club that they're trying to be sustainable and just be, albeit a bit cheap, but trying to just be quite modest in spending, so that if Falkirk do stay up this season, then they can build a bit more successfully and plan for a kind of longer term view rather than trying to spend lots of money to stay in the Premiership?
So Falkirk are a fan-owned club. The support society fund the club. The majority shareholders. We don't have a benefactor that can come in and clear some debts. Jamie Swinney, the CEO, is well documented in saying that he's not willing to put the club in a situation where, well, 3 years ago, if we never got out of League One the season we did, we would have gone part-time or potentially gone bust, and he's not willing to operate with that operating loss, because we just can't do it. We'll put the club at risk. So I think sensibly Falkirk will try and go about things in a way. They've got a squad that are together, that he's got that buy-in from everyone. They're all going to, there's no kind of divas in the squad that think they're better than the rest. It's really competition for places. Everyone needs to be on their A game, and we're just going to try and build the momentum we've built over the last 2 years. And will it be enough? Hopefully, with the new guys coming in now, that certainly adds a bit more options. But we've pulled off results against big teams in the past. Obviously beat Hearts last year in the Cup. We played Celtic off the park for 70 minutes last season. We've beat Dundee United a few times in Cup competitions. So we've managed to...
That's not an achievement, right? That's good winning Cup competition. So
I was going to say, there's no need to get personal, Josh. Christ.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel left out.
But Falkirk have shown over the past few seasons they can get results against bigger clubs, but how sustainable is that over the course of a season? That's where the test will be when we're getting these clubs week in, week out. Obviously, other clubs will have us scouted much more thoroughly, and it'll be interesting to see John McGlynn potentially turn to Plan B, Plan C, because John McGlynn's very much a guy where Plan B is do Plan A better. Sometimes that works. Sometimes you need to be able to change things up. But overall, I think he made the changes at the right time yesterday. I think Calvin Miller tired, and that was when we brought on the fresh legs that we really started to push and get the goal. Aberdeen, however, you do wonder where their goals are going to come from. I think it was quite telling that Yengi was the one that got hooked for Malloy at half time. So when you're bringing your striker off, Palvara went to play up front, and he's not a striker by trade. So Jimmy Tilleen really doesn't trust his striker options at the moment.
I think they've obviously brought in Kevin Nisbet for 300 grand on deadline day, which is I think that's probably a good fee that they've paid for him. I don't necessarily think Nisbet's the right move for Hearts, but that's a different argument. And I think there's a
for Hearts.
For Hearts. That's good. I'm looking at you. I was going to Hearts next for Aberdeen. But he's definitely not the right move for Hearts. He's definitely not the right move for Hearts. Talking about transfers and Hearts just gone in my head. That's probably what it is. Just thinking about. Not everyone can spend 2 million euros on a Brazilian, right? It's not the right move for Aberdeen. Sorry, I'll start again. Kevin Nisbet, I think 300 grand is a very good price for him. Whether or not he's the right move for Aberdeen's probably it does feel a little bit panicky. I think as a signing right on deadline day, and someone who panics. Here's someone who we can get 10 goals a season because we desperately need 10 goals a season. It doesn't quite fit the kind of Aberdeen ethos. I suppose it does fill a European spot in the quota, which is probably one other important point when we need eight homegrown players now. But it's very interesting to see what Aberdeen's going to look like. Goggsy, what's going on with Aberdeen? It feels like a very baffling team at the minute.
Yeah, they are a bit confusing to watch. I mean, I watched their away leg at FCSB, and I thought they started all right. They looked quite competent, and then the red cards happened just like on Sunday, and it just started to fall to pieces. And it was quite entertaining in that sense, but also it's not a good look when supposedly Scotland's third team is falling apart at the hint of a red card, because that that just shatters any game plan. I mean, it's the same with a lot of teams, but especially with Aberdeen. So, and we've got them twice next month, so hopefully they get a couple of red cards.
Hopefully they start Tete Yengi. Not Tete Yengi.
Let's not jinx things.
Yeah. We'll come to you next. We'll talk about Motherwell in a wee while about jinx and stuff. So don't worry, I've got that logged in the back of my brain. Adam, I mean, Aberdeen as a club are. I think there's been a lot. They've done some very good transfer business in the money and the money they've recouped for guys like Shane Morris. But it does feel like they're not actually replaced what they've brought in. Sorry, Papagay as well. Doesn't really feel like they've brought in as much quality as they have in previous windows.
No, it doesn't. I think the Kevin Nisbet signing is reeking of a kind of familiarity feeling. Obviously, having been on loan from Millwall last year, popped up with the odd goal, couldn't really cement a place in that starting 11. And when you're competing against the likes of Esther Sockler, Papagay, and you can't nail down that first team place, I think that pretty much speaks volumes about his Aberdeen career. I think their Scottish Cup victory
Did they win the Scottish Cup?
It's probably the epitome of papering over the cracks, because everybody's quick to highlight that it's now, I think, 5 wins in 31 league matches or something crazy like that, which you don't need to be a mathematician to work out that they're points per game. And if that was equated to over, the breadth of a whole season, would probably see them relegated. So I don't know how much more time Jimmy Tilleen's got. Personally, I hope they keep him around for a wee while longer yet. But it does seem, even kind of their recruitment is very scattergun. At the start, it was like Scandinavians, which, okay, he knows that market, having managed there, that's fine, fair enough. Players that he's familiar with, okay, like that does make sense. Then they've kind of gone elsewhere for players. I was really impressed with the boy Milanovic. Is it Nicholas Milanovic? On the wing, I thought he was excellent at Tynecastle, to be honest. And if they had a competent centre forward, then one of them could have perhaps got on the end of a couple of crosses and whatever he was putting in. But even in kind of midfield, I think Sivert Nielsen, I'm not having. Palaversa and Polvara like. It doesn't seem like the manager wants to play the two of them together.
I should say I really like Polvara. I think I saved him in that home leg. It's SPFL.
His selections are baffling, and as is the kind of squad that he's looking to put together. So when that's the case, it's not too surprising that the results don't necessarily follow.
Yeah, I think that the Nisbet signing is it's almost like an effort to show the fans that they are trying, because I mean the outgoings are outweighing the incomings, and it just feels like they're still missing a few creative sparks in that team.
Yeah, I think I was just going to quickly look up there Aberdeen's, what they've brought in this window in terms of finances, but I think they've spent. Reportedly spent €1.4 million according to Transfermarkt, which that's not necessarily the most accurate of stats, but they have, the manager's been backed. The players they brought in, I think you can see that they've tried to do something, but it does feel like I just taking it back from United point of view. I feel like United have got a lot better players for a lot less than what Aberdeen have got for And the players that United have signed would be players that I would have thought Aberdeen would have looked at, guys like Dolchek, guys like Sapsford. I mean, because they clearly have been shopping in the same markets. So is it the manager that's thinking these guys are not good enough? Is it the head of recruitment? Is it Alan Burrows? Who is it at the club that's thinking either these guys aren't good enough, or the style of play, these guys are good enough and the style of play is not good, isn't appropriate for them, which I think the Aberdeen support seem to be thinking towards the latter. But anyway, moving on from the side that won the last trophy to a side that's going to claim they're going to win 2 trophies, or 3. Well, it was 3, but now 2 trophies this season. Hearts, annoyingly glorious Hearts. Livingston 1, Heart of Midlothian 2. I think it feels like watching Hearts this season there's something special brewing, and it's making me incredibly jealous. Livingston opened the scoring on the 26th minute through Smith. Very good finish. And then the second half, I think it's fair to say the game flipped on its head. Claudio Braga, of course, scoring the first, and probably should have scored this, but not probably, definitely should have scored another one. Well, probably one of the biggest misses of the season. And I'm going to mispronounce his name. Is it Kazaridis? Is that?
No, I think you nailed that. Yeah, Alexandros Kazaridis.
Well,
yeah, I've done well.
Kazaridis. Scoring the winner, and I think it was fair to say he came on at half time and completely changed the game. Adam, I think you were at the Tony Macaroni or the home of the Set Fair Arena, whatever the hell Livingston are calling it. Were you not there?
I don't go through there, mate. Ever since we were smashed 5-0 under Craig Levine and he should have been sacked, I've vowed to never go back. So, no, you won't catch me there anytime soon. But
doesn't like playing out like either.
Watched it on a perfectly legitimate stream. But yes, you are right. I mean, I'm still kind of conflicted because you say that something special is brewing. I thought that with kind of how routine the League Cup campaign went, obviously, so much so that we ended up getting, St Mirren away in the second round. But in terms of our league matches, that's now 3 of 4 that Hearts have fallen behind in. The only exception being Aberdeen on the opening night, and let's face it, they are ranked rotten, so thankfully we didn't. I'm a little bit concerned with regards to personnel, selections, setup, because I don't think for as many bodies as we've brought in this summer, and boy, have we brought a lot in, I don't think we know our best formation and personnel within said formation as of yet. Now, it's fine while you're picking up results and we're limping through games. Obviously we left it late at Tannadice against your boys, Alex. We had to come from
very lucky. Down. I think you were very lucky in that game. You played a very tired United
against Goggsy's mob. And,
I know.
And again, here, granted, we've probably shaded the second half and deserved to take home the win, but we've had to leave it late to do so. So they say that it's a sign of a good team when you win when you're not necessarily at your best. I'm not sure I go along. I'm not sure I go along with that cliche at the minute. But ultimately, given how long it took us to reach 3 league wins last season, I can't say that I'm going to turn my nose up at 3 wins from 4 so far this. So it's great that Hearts are picking up points and recording victories, albeit I still think we have issues to be ironed out. And another big concern is just how big Hearts' squad is. I mean, we're talking 30 plus players. We're not going to appease absolutely everybody within that. I don't think we've covered up kind of our faults on the right-hand side. If you're playing a back 3, we don't really have a right wing back with Christian Borchgrevink injured. Oisin McAtee doesn't look as though he is a right wing back. We've called back Adam Forrester from his cooperation agreement loan with St Johnstone. Hasn't been in a matchday squad since. But offensively, there's a little bit more style. There's a little bit more flair. It would just be nice to see Alexandros Kazaridis and Claudio Braga start every week. They listened to me regarding Braga getting the start against Livingston. Hopefully, our man Kizzy can take to the field at Ibrox from the very start after the international break. That would be nice.
It is very interesting watching this kind of. I think the chat around Hearts and I mean Tony Bloom coming in, putting his money where his mouth is. I think spending a lot of money, like a lot of money by Scottish standards.
Where have I seen this before?
I was like, I'm have this conspiracy theory that we're living in the Matrix and we are in 2005 right now. Because everything is telling me this is 2005. Hearts are spending lots of money. Rangers look pretty... I know it was more 2006 Hearts Rangers were bad, but close enough. Rangers look really bad. Celtic did pretty awful in Europe, losing to someone they shouldn't have in a Champions League qualifier. This is all sounding really, really familiar for me.
if it ends in a Scottish Cup and us split the Old Firm, you are damn right I will sign up for that. Absolutely sign me up.
So Derek McInnes is getting sacked in November. There's going to be a nuclear submarine parked outside Goggsy. Tony Bloom's
There's
going to open a
not quite a
casino.
squad of 76 players right enough. I think there's a little bit less than that. But yeah, it's a bit wild.
So are you phoning Martin Guys on now to do the podcast?
I'm claiming that. I'm going to have to start getting some interviews arranged. That's for sure. Pencil it in.
Right. I feel like I think most neutrals, as much as we despise each other, we do kind of. I think a lot of people do want to see someone split the Old Firm or potentially take. Let's be honest, Rangers aren't going to win the league this season.
Depends on who it is.
Take the title away from Celtic. As long as it's not Dundee, which it's never going to be in a million years anyway, so it's fine. Goggsy, kind of. What do you think of Hearts? I mean, you've seen. You were at Tynecastle, weren't you, for the?
Yeah, I was at the Aberdeen game, and I was at.
All right,
obviously.
Camden.
What?
All right, he seems to be season ticket holder now.
That's it. Closet Jambo.
No, well, I just go where a ball's kicked, really. But the 2-0 win over Aberdeen, I thought they had control of the game. I mean, Aberdeen looked just very
rubbish,
very poor, considering it was their first competitive game of the season as well. And obviously the 3-0 draw last week, which I'm still bitter about. But for the last half hour, Hearts were excellent. And I'm still unsure whether I can call a draw a fair result, but we can move on from that.
We should have nicked it.
I know. I'm just.
He's still at the denial stage.
Yeah, I've not even thought about Saturday just past there either.
This is good therapy for Goggsy, so we can. That's why I've left that game to the end, so you can get through this one, and then we can.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
The question I do have for you, Adam, is Ague. I mean, €2 million, which is again, it's just blowing my mind that anyone would spend that. I mean, I remember when I first started doing the Mediawatch stuff, and I was like, oh, who would be the first club to break £1 million outside the Old Firm? And now $2 million. The deal could be as much as $2 million.
Yeah,
it's a
with
massive
add-ons or what have you. Yeah.
It was 30% sell on to Santa Clara. I know he didn't play. He didn't play the whole game. He came on late on when Hearts were chasing the winner. What did you think of him? Did he seem like someone who, he's a player, or was it more still he still needs to get up to the speed of the game up in Scotland?
No, I thought he looked a player, which is great considering the kind of environment that he makes his debut in. I think Hearts brought something like 6,000 fans through to Livingston, so it must be strange enough to kind of play on that Astro, then have more away fans than there are home fans. Must be a bit odd. Might be a wee bit confusing when he gets back to Tynecastle or whatever, but we've seen
Moniest fan base in history. No.
So yeah, I mean it's one game. It's a very small sample size, but it's promising. I think most Hearts fans are just kind of relieved that our previous record transfer, Mirsad Beslija, who we paid $850,000 for, is now kind of wiped away from our history. Yeah. So yeah, eventually. And eventually,
just to go on this, do you want to know who Dundee United's record transfer is? Then Goggsy, please don't answer this.
I don't have a clue.
Stephen Presley.
Bloody hell!
Sorry, I just want to get that in there since we're chatting about. But yes, sorry, I really rudely interrupted you.
Not at all. Yeah, I think that was kind of previously a jobby that wouldn't flush Mirsad Beslija in Hearts history. So now, thankfully, it's away, and we've got some kind of Samba flair to look forward to. So yeah, it's nice change.
There is someone when it's a Brazilian player, and I think it's particularly a Brazilian player. And I think Rangers kind of went on about when Danilo signed, even though you're, let's be honest, average at best. There's something that just excites you about that straight away. South American, but specifically Brazilian players that you think, this guy's got to be good because he's from Brazil, which is complete and utter nonsense. Because if he's from Brazil and he's played in Scotland, there's probably something that's historically gone wrong in his career to come to end up be playing in Scotland, albeit I think this is a slightly different case. But do you? I know you're being very non-committal on what you think Hearts will be at the end of the season. And I know it's a question everyone's asking Hearts fans, but I'm putting you on the spot here.
Don't ask me what I think you're going to ask me.
I'm not going to ask that question. I think it's let's be honest, it's the 1st of September. I'm not doing that. But if Hearts weren't to, or phrasing differently, if Hearts weren't to finish in the top 3, would you be disappointed? Put it that way.
I think I would, for a couple of reasons. Obviously, the start that we've got off to, the fact that we're not playing European football, and now I know that our noisy neighbours aren't either, despite the mainstream media believing that they've won the Conference League already. It's I think you kind of touched on it earlier on in the episode. When you're playing Saturday to Saturday, it's massive because our clubs simply cannot cope with the grueling Thursday, Sunday schedule, and we've been guilty of that. I think the season before last, or even kind of last season. So yeah, it's a big advantage, one that I'm hopeful we could take advantage of. And it's a solid start, nothing more, nothing less. But again, I do have concerns regarding kind of formations, personnel, and even our start to games. It seems like we have to be reactionary as opposed to kind of immediately kind of hitting teams on the front foot and kind of being proactive. We seem to be more reactive, which is a wee bit of a worry so early on in the season. But hopefully that will come.
Is that a worry about McInnes as a manager? Because it does feel like, I think there's certainly stereotypes that you come to think about. Well, stereotypes. There's things that you think about McInnes' style of management, his selection and his transfer policy historically, albeit that's clearly not the case now. Where he's getting, let's be honest, I think no McInnes team in the history has signed as many international or players that aren't from Scotland or haven't played in an Aberdeen squad before as this one. Does that kind of worry you a little bit, or do you think it's actually it's good that he's not just putting these guys straight into matches? He's waiting to see if they are good enough or if they can develop and if they can wants to see them on the training grounds before putting them straight in. How would you kind of see that?
It's a good question because I've not really got a definitive answer. I mean, I think if you take somebody like Elton Kabangu, who basically saved their season last year with the goals that he scored from January till the end, I think he was only one off being our top scorer, which is mental considering he signed halfway through the campaign. He can't really get a look in. I mean, I know he comes on at the weekend, but thankfully the winner doesn't go to his side. Otherwise, he'd have been offside for the rebound that he hopefully would tap in, but ultimately wouldn't matter because he'd be off. So I don't know. It's kind of refreshing to see Derek McInnes go down a different route in terms of you mentioned most of his recruitment's been kind of homegrown players in the British Isles, and he's kind of resurrected their careers or penny pinched from kind of other clubs. It's different for him. It's different for us. But I think it probably would be a wee bit of a worry. I think it's kind of perhaps even overthinking things. Sometimes it's simpler than it should be, or it should be simpler than it is. So I'm intrigued to see. I think Rangers is probably our first big test because we've limped through these games, whereas here Rangers have obviously made the worst start to their season, I think, since 1983 or something. I heard.
89.
So there you go. So if you can't take it to this Rangers team at Ibrox, then when are you going to take it to them? That's what I'd like to see.
It's one of those games that I think I'd be desperate to have watched, to have been on TV. I think it's a shame. To be fair, Hibs United's on the TV that day, and that's, I think, for many other reasons, I think that's a brilliant fixture. But slightly, it's a game that you kind of want to look at because everything in your mind for the 25 years of past experience of watching football tells you that Hearts will not win that game. However,
I've said it for weeks. We will, of course, be the first team to give Russell Martin his first league win. I mean, it's an absolute cert. It's a stick-on.
That's everything in my mind says that. But
there's that little glimmer of hope, exactly, that now, like, if the law of averages says we have to win eventually, particularly through there. So
the amount of times I've
How
heard
very
Hearts
Joel
fans
scared
say-
of you.
Exactly.
To say
That is
that.
the most bull-scared thing I've ever heard in my life. The law of averages. It is. But, and I
if not
will
now,
say that
when? That's the question.
everything from this season says, oh yeah, Hearts will win that. Yeah, Hearts looking better each week. Oh yeah. They've got great players. They've got wingers that'll tear apart that.
Full
Crap
time
defense.
4-0 Rangers.
Yeah, exactly. I think that we don't condone betting advice on this podcast.
Well, you
But
don't.
I don't know. I don't own this. But I'm sure there's some probably rules. But if you stuck your mortgage on Rangers to win at home, you're probably going to be okay. Turning, we've spoken a lot about Hearts. We haven't
So
spoken please don't bet.
Please don't.
Bet responsibly. And if you need help, and if you need to stop. Speaking about Livy, I think we've kind of, I don't know, they've quite got the plaudits this season that they deserve so far. I think they've looked very, very good at the start of the season. Look a lot better than they did last time in the Premiership. The players that they've got, somehow getting £110,000 for Zach Grudden, which I still don't know how they managed. Some very dodgy going on in Dunfermline at the minute. But they look. I was very impressed from what I've seen of them so far. I mean, I was going to ask Josh about this, but he's gone off the internet at the exact right time when I was going to ask him about Livy's 3-1 win. It's Falkirk, which is perfect. Aaron, what do you think of Livingston and Martindale? Sort of a Martindale ball 2.0, where he's not moaning about budgets every week.
Yeah, it seems to be kind of reborn, David Martindale. Previously, it was very much a kind of 2 banks of 4 and try and break us down if you can. Whereas here, I felt as though they kind of took the game to Hearts. Now, I don't know if that's because of Hearts' poor started matches that I've highlighted, or just Livy's feeling of we're in a good place. Granted, we've just been beaten at Celtic Park, but our season's probably not defined by that. We won our last home game. We're up against a team that's probably expecting to be in that top half of the table, push for Europe. Let's kind of bring them down to our level, or see if we can test ourselves and get a result. I thought Livingston were decent, to be honest. I think the goal is avoidable from a Hearts perspective, but there is something about Lewis Smith that I really like. I'm disappointed that obviously Macaulay Tate couldn't play against us, because we've loaned him out to Livingston, and I think that's a great move for him. And I would happily see kind of our young players in David Martindale's hands to help them out. It seems to kind of be total football at home, and I think it might be more backs to the wall away and try and get points on the road. But definitely kind of more forward thinking when hosting teams through there on that beloved plastic pitch.
Well, it's a new surface.
Yes,
it actually does look a lot better.
Looks like grass for once.
It does actually.
Couldn't have got much worse. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
I remember when they first brought it in, and it was a sports scene. They were playing Killie opening day of the season when they first came in. When they came up, and you could see the pellets come up when the ball bounced, like not just a few, like loads of pellets come up, and I was like, surely that's not right. I think that the surface they've got and the surface Falkirk have got both look quite good. Killie, however, I'm not a plastic pitch hater. I think that's something that's a bit of a kind of old man yells at cloud type of thing. But the Killie one in particular, not pretty rotten. But I think it's fair to say, Livy they've recruited really well. Goggsy, I think Mo Salah coming. I think that's a very, very good move. I think you can see in the derby, Dundee would have really liked having Mo Salah yesterday. What do you think? Do you think you kind of the same thought process as me, thinking that they actually look like a side that's not only ready but very well equipped to deal with Premiership football?
Yeah, well, I think they were warming up to that, but from January onwards, when they realised promotion was absolutely a possibility, because I think they only gave themselves 1 year to get back into the Premiership, and they did that anyway. But I mean, when a team goes down to the Championship, they're still technically, in my eyes, a Premiership outfit until they stay in the Championship for a season or more, longer than they probably hope.
Yeah, that Goggsy, this is you gatekeeping the Premiership because Motherwell haven't been down since. I
don't know what relegation is, mate. 40 years of the top flight.
Not at all got round like Aberdeen got round certain
certain
stadium criteria, and
that's on Falkirk. That's their fault for not meeting the standards.
Josh, why are you not here? This would have been great.
Yeah. That's what they've given to Scottish football. Thanks, Falkirk.
Yeah.
But can we just quickly talk about Motherwell, because my Chinese is going to be here in like 5 minutes.
Right, well, I was just about to ask
you. The epitome of professionalism, that young man.
Right, don't worry, we'll just talk about St Mirren Hibs. So Motherwell 2, Killie 2. I feel like it's a cliche. Oh, what a great style of play Motherwell have under Jans Bertolascu. Like I've heard that so many times in the last 3 weeks. It is true, however.
Even better with a different goalkeeper, to be fair.
Yeah, the individual errors has cost us. I mean, in my opinion, we should be sitting third on 8 points right now. I think that would be a fair reflection on the brand of football. But we're not, because of Callum Ward.
Right, before Goggsy issues a fat one on Callum Ward, can I say that?
It's after 9 o'clock now, so you're on site.
Yeah, past the watershed. What do you think's making this team click? Because I think obviously the loss of Lennon Miller was inevitable, but still going to be massively noticed. But it seems that this Motherwell side has completely clicked in the style of play, and it seems that they've really taken the manager. The manager really the players have bought into what the manager's trying to do. Yeah,
well, the thing is, Lennon Miller didn't actually play a game for us after, I think, the FC 20 friendly. So he hasn't actually been a part of the playing squad since the first game of the cup. So I think we knew what was going to happen anyway. It was just prolonged. But the players that Jens has brought in have been fantastic. Like to name a few, Eli Just is tremendous. He was
excellent at Tynecastle.
He's always
like on the park.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. I don't want to say a budget Messi, but he's certainly got a similar style to his play, like just the way he dodges any tackle or whatever. And the
a glider, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a wonderful player. But I must say, I've got to say, I want to rival Alex's shout for signing of the summer. Manny Longello at left back is, for 150k that we paid for him. He's scored 4 goals in all competitions, and to have that from a left back, it's phenomenal. Like, just the way he's almost like a defensive winger in a way, because when he gets the ball, he looks to go forward, but he's also good defensively. It's good to see, but I don't think he'll be at Motherwell very long, and you can say that for quite a few of the players that we've signed. But looking back on Saturday, I mean, we went down early on to quite a good Killie goal.
Great goal.
It was. I thought it was one of those where he just beat the offside trap and squared the ball, and it was a lovely finish. But thankfully, it woke us up, and we hammered Killie for the rest of the half, and we managed to get the equaliser right in half time, and we went off to a standing ovation. We were absolutely superb. It was a great response from going one behind, and then second half we just picked up where we left off and got that second goal through Manny Longello, and I thought we were going to kick on, maybe get a third or a fourth. But then just a nothing cross into the box is dropped by Callum Ward, and unfortunately we're looking at 4 draws instead of 3 draws and 1 win. So hopefully that's
definitely not a foul, by the way.
I wasn't looking for that either. Like, it was one of those bits of clever play by Robbie Dees where he just sort of nudged him, but it wasn't enough to commit a foul. So I wasn't looking at it. I was just calling Callum Ward a fanny for dropping the ball, to be honest. But enough of the slander. But yeah, I'm delighted by the way we're playing. I just feel like it takes one win for us to start actually being serious, I think.
Had a tough start as well, Goggsy, yeah?
Yeah, really difficult start. I mean, Rangers at home, St Mirren, Hearts, throwing a decent St Johnstone side in there in the cup, and then Kelly at home.
With some favourable fixtures, it should eventually click into gear, I think.
Definitely. I mean, the way I look at things, we played really well at Tynecastle until the 65th minute, and then we played really well against Kilmarnock until the 75th minute. Hopefully this week of international football will just sort of give us a bit more time, maybe a bounce game here or there, and we'll be able to play a full 90 minutes with the style of play, and hopefully that'll just be able to get us to see games out, because our game management's been appalling the last couple of weeks, and hopefully that just gets things sorted.
It's something that I found quite, just looking at slightly wider way of looking at things, I found it quite frustrating in the weeks. A lot of people talking down Scottish football because of Celtic and Rangers, and to a lesser extent Aberdeen, their European performances. But
not the mighty Hibs though.
Now, I'm going to get on Hibs in a minute, but I actually think Hibs played exceptionally well in that game against. I think one very bad management decision probably cost them that game. But I think it is worth talking up the style of play that Motherwell put in. I think the additions Hearts have made. I think not only just talking up my own team, but I think the way United have been playing and the style of play with the additions, I actually feel quite enthusiastic, even from a kind of neutral point of view, trying to put my own United biases to the side. I actually feel quite enthusiastic about the Premiership this season. It seems quite exciting, and there's a lot of new faces, a lot of new managers, a lot of new philosophies, as opposed to the kind of boring, slightly more boring style of football that you might have had if it was like 2 or 3 years ago.
I just hope that's not the kind of early season feel though. Like,
it's all going to die by October.
For like a handful, exactly. I'm thinking once it gets to like mid-November and we've had like those first couple of defeats, you're like, great the football was away, but now it's back.
Last week you said we're so back. You said it was over. This week we said
exactly.
So back. What happened? No, I cocked that one up, but you know exactly what I was trying to say. Having said that, I do think last year was one of the weirdest Premiership seasons I can ever remember. And probably the league table probably wouldn't suggest that, but it was just such an odd season. And I think it made it very entertaining. And I think this year is like that, but even more so. I think the kind of there's the nonsense factor of Stephen Presley being very much and Rangers, those two things being very nonsense.
And Aberdeen.
Aberdeen, I think are just slightly crap rather than full on nonsense. I think they're getting towards the nonsense stage, but not quite there yet. I think let's see how they play after Shakhtar Donetsk, and then let's talk about that. But then there's the good as opposed to the bad and the ugly, and that's not just talking about a certain Falkirk fan that's left the pod. Love you, Josh. We love you. Jokes aside, I'm not one to judge in that situation. But if you look at the Motherwell, if you look at the United, Hearts, Hibs, I know. Adam, you're cringing when I say that.
No, you're right.
There's a lot I think you can say being, oh, this looks quite tasty. Oh, and there's like every week on the kind of when you see the fixture list, you're thinking, oh, that'll be a good game. Oh, that'll be a good game. Like this week, I was like, every game pretty much bar Celtic Rangers. I was like, oh, this will be good. That'll be exciting. Oh, that'll something to it. And one of those games was Hibs versus St Mirren in the longest segue of human history.
On that note, guys, my Chinese is but
you go
have fun talking about Hibs St Mirren.
Hurry up. Honestly,
right. I was trying to get him to. I was trying to get him to.
Thank God he's away.
I was trying to get him to leave gracefully. Not that was. I was. He didn't quite get the hint.
He was chomping at the bit, wasn't he? You could see that.
Yeah. Hibs St Mirren. Anyway, let's talk about that, which was I actually thought a really exciting game, and Hibs did go behind, which I think kind of goes to show what's been the problem, despite dominating the first hour of football, going behind to Freckleton he scored with his cock. Let's be honest. I think
there's some dubiety as well, isn't it? They're looking for offside. It's really poor from a defensive perspective. It's not great from an offensive perspective either.
It's very much a Scottish football goal in a lot of ways. And I mean that with as much love as it is possible. I think someone defended okay throughout. I think Hibs really should have been 1 up or 2 up, but you could see there was certainly a little bit of legginess and leggianess from the group. There we go. See, I'm wasting on what I do. They went behind, but fair play to Hibs' instant reaction pretty much through Rocky Bushiri, who, as much as you're going to cringe when I say this, I think he is probably the best centre-half in Scottish football at the minute.
Wow. That's a big statement.
I really like the look of him. I think he has gone from being a joke figure, and very much a joke figure. I think the redemption of Rocky Bushiri has been one of those themes of Scottish football over the last 18 months that's...
He's kind of symbolised Hibs, hasn't he? Because of they were in the depths of despair, really. I mean, I'd seen a stat from, I think it was Annie Brown had posted something like Rocky Bushiri hadn't scored a goal prior to that last gasp equaliser against Aberdeen. He's now scored 8. I think 4 have come this season. He is just kind of popping up with these goals. Considering it was a player that Hibs signed by accident, they claim they didn't. But they did.
It's the most Hibs signing possible. It's like that scene in The Thick of It where when Peter Mannion finds out that they've bought a bank out of social embarrassment. That's what I imagine the Hibs boardroom was like when they 100%. Found out they signed Bushiri.
But he's grown from kind of this ugly duckling into a gracious swan. Granted, I think he can only play in a back 3, and I think Hibs' system is very much dependent on him being at the epicentre of it. But the kind of remarkable turnaround in Hibs has coincided with his form also being, just kind of on the floor, like lower than a snake's belly, confidence-wise. And now, I mean, you deem him to be the best centre-half in Scotland, which is wild. I'm obviously not going to say that Hibs player is, but he is one that the fans have really, really taken to. He's becoming a big cult hero down Leith Way.
I like how you just called me an idiot just there, just in the most politest way possible. But I genuinely, I think there is some. As someone who looks at the sort of the stat ratings every week, I imagine for most of the last probably 20, 25 match days,
he's come out pretty well.
He's probably been in the team of the week every week, or more or less every week, and that's with arguably not the best. Like the best goalkeeper behind him, definitely not the best goalkeeper behind him.
I agree.
And I put it this way: I was talking to Boltman last night about this, and he's the only one of the back 5 at Hibs I would take at United, but I would say he's better than anyone United have in those positions. Even like I would instantly take him and put him in that defence, and I think suddenly that's like that would be an extremely good defence. Maybe I'm going a bit too much on this Rocky Bushiri.
No, but I think you're right. I think most opposition fans, myself included, were looking at the signing as a bit of a joke, really.
It was a pointing and laughing signing, very much. Yeah. So, like, why have you done that?
But now, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the fact that his gaffer is a former defender, has he spent individual hours with Rocky Bushiri on the training pitch? I don't know what the change in form has come down to.
You just put in my mind this like Rocky training montage of David Gray running up.
The stopwatch. Yeah.
My stopwatch. They're going to. I know it's closed. They're going to Goggsy City Farm, trying to chase down a chicken. These are all the things that are going in my mind. He's trying to, instead of running up and down the steps, they're just, running up and down the Royal Mile.
The Waverley steps, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. This is doing what that woman was doing, going up the escalator the wrong way. So this is all in my mind. Like someone who listens to this, the one person who does listen to this, I'm so sorry if I've listened to an hour and 10 minutes of this, but if you are a graphic designer or an AI generated person, Please make this up.
Get in
prompt.
touch.
I think there's
Yeah,
definitely
definitely
get in touch. You know where to find me, and I will very much like to see that. But I do think he is probably, as I said, symptomatic of Hearts, but sorry, symptomatic of Hearts of Hibs. I did a Logan Roy there. He was involved in everything. And obviously scored the goal. Should have got picked for diving. And
he does love one of them. Yeah.
The other penalty claim at the end, which was probably a penalty in my mind.
I think it was as well.
I think given the one that got given against them against Partizan, was it Partizan or was it
Legia? Legia was in the away leg. Yeah. Yes, Easter Road.
Easter Road. Yeah,
You're right.
It was very much reminded me of if given that was given against them, I'm amazed that they didn't get the one against St Mirren at the weekend. But I think again, not taking chances. I mean, you look at the XG stats. I think there was 2.5 to Hibs, which is insane to have for a kind of smaller relatively not one of the Old Firm to have at home. It's very high. And particularly against such a good team as St Mirren. I think St Mirren are a well-drilled, well-coached exactly.
unit. I think the recent record at Easter Road's good. I think they've won kind of their last 3 against Hibs at Easter Road. So again, looking at Hibs kind of being in extra time and having played in midweek, it's probably one that Stephen Robinson and St Mirren would have really fancied. So I think there's positives from Hibs to take for coming back to ultimately earn a point. Definitely from the performance. But yeah, I think again they're going to be one that will feel the benefits of not going Thursday, Sunday. So there are pros to take. I know it would have been nice for them to reach their first European group stage, but they haven't done.
You put the word first in there, didn't you? You had to get that in. Yeah.
Fair enough. Ultimately, it could be to their benefit kind of throughout the remainder of the campaign, definitely.
Weirdly, I actually think had they made the group stage, they would probably do the best of any of the Scottish sides. I think their style of play is a bit more suited to European football than Aberdeen, Celtic, or Rangers. Definitely Aberdeen, Celtic, or Rangers. Terrible they've been. But I know you were very much in full head to toe Legia kit on Thursday.
We'll never know.
We'll never know now. You expect nothing less. Sorry about that hidden camera. But I think having, obviously I was wanting Hibs to win, even though they get money from it. I think it would have been very important from coefficient because I'm a very.
It's a win-win, really. They're either distracted by Europe or you get to laugh at them because they don't quite make it. So
it's the inevitable thing with Scottish clubs. You want them to do well until they don't, and then you get the same number of points for losing 1-0 as you do for losing 6-0.
Very Scottish mentality to adopt.
Yes. Yeah. So I'd rather you either win or you get absolutely massacred. I think
no in between. Yeah.
There's no in between. I don't want to see a 2-1 defeat. No one wants that. But I've talked about Hibs. St Mirren, I think again deserve a lot of plaudits. I think they started the season the way, the thing is, St Mirren being in the top 6 was a laughable thing 5 years ago.
Now they're aiming for a 4th consecutive season. I know.
It's the new norm, and it's what the fans
against them expect. Finishing there, would you? You wouldn't. I wouldn't confidently go down to the bookies and say St Mirren will finish in the bottom 6. For me, I think they are a top 6 outfit, and they just seem to keep regurgitating and finding these kind of diamonds in the rough that Stephen Robinson. Granted, they're all about 6'5". They're the absolute land of the giants.
Massive, absolutely massive units.
But St Mirren does. Stephen Robinson, does find these gems. The fact they've even tied him up to an extended contract. I think it's all positive in Paisley, despite them kind of not getting that maiden league victory. But again, only a matter of time before that will come, I think.
Yeah, I think you kind of think. I think there's going to be a lot of debate in terms of United have kind of fallen out this discussion altogether, which I found very bizarre, probably for a good reason. But the kind of the battle for what you would probably classed as the final European spot, or certainly the final spots in the top 6. I think most people will have Celtic, Rangers, Hearts and Hibs is probably the top 4 in some order, and then what's left after that would be any combination of Dundee United, St Mirren and Motherwell. At the minute, having
Aberdeen, if they can get the finger out.
Aberdeen
Aberdeen
could be in there. You don't know. Who knows? Livingston might have a fantastic season.
No,
it's very hard to tell.
It should be a good battle this year, I think.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think I've been impressed. I think they were very. I don't say they were unlucky. I think unlucky is the wrong word. I think they probably, and it's probably a bit condescending to say that, I think they probably didn't manage the game well enough against Rangers, where they had a number of chances to kill the game off. I think the 1-1 draw yesterday, 1-1 was a good result, and I think did flatter St Mirren. I think,
Yeah. But again, they pick up a point where they probably don't deserve to. So
and when it comes to match day 33, and it's the difference between being the top 6 and the bottom 6, that could be massive. And you don't know if this whole entire Hibs Galactico side is sold in January, which there might be all to Bournemouth for $2 million. Then you don't know. Teams can collapse in themselves, as we've seen with Aberdeen over the last 38 games or whatever it is. So you don't know. And I know through your very, through your, I was going to say your maroon tinted glasses. I think I'm meaning more your proclaimers hating tinted glasses. But you take them off for a second. Do you see Hibs as more of a threat in a battle with Hearts for this season, or do you think Hearts are in almost a different league at the minute?
No, I think very much the two will be kind of fighting out for. I was going to say third. I mean, optimistically, it would be second. But
it's second until Rangers get
to get their act together. Well,
getting a competent manager.
They will once they beat us after the international break, and then that'll no doubt trigger everything. So apologies to the rest of Scottish football for Hearts essentially kickstarting Rangers' campaign. But no, I very much expect to kind of be in a tit for tat tussle with Hibs. Again, I mean, we speak with an hour and a half left of the transfer windows as we chat. There's no sign of Kieran Bowie moving on or nothing ridiculous with regards to the Easter Road exits, which is unfortunate. But
there's been a few rumours today that Celtic had put in a bid of about 4 or 5 million for Bowie, which would break the intra-Scottish record. But
which is wild, because I take it that's Brown, that exact same. Yeah.
Do you know what's even weirder? It's only just Scott Brown. He was 4.4 million. Duncan Ferguson was 4.3 in 1994, which is still United's record transfer, which is insane. And I always think United's 2 record transfers from 94 and 95. Duncan Ferguson and Stephen Presley, which is insane. And if you, there's a good website out there. It's called Football. It's a transfer inflator, which isn't just it takes into account the football inflation as opposed to the kind of general rate of inflation, and in today's money, that would have been £55 million. In today's footballing money, that transfer.
What the hell?
That's how big a transfer it was. They say that the biggest ever transfer, if you take that kind of inflation metric into account, would have been Gianluca Vialli to Juventus. I think they said that would have been €250 million in today's money. But that was in the early 90s. That was a £12 million transfer, which is just insane. Sorry, that's it. We're getting sidetracked. But realistically, yeah, I think you look at the players Hibs have brought in. I think Bowie last year, we didn't get to see the best of him because he was out for so long. But I mean, I want him to lead the line on Friday night. I think he should be starting.
I second that.
I would actually really like to see him and Shanklin play together.
Granted, I mean, I always chat to Hibs mates, and they'd like to see him play for longer than an hour, because there are concerns regarding fitness.
He does look like he could be a little bit leaner. I'm not going to lie.
But ultimately, I think he uses that to his strength as well. Yeah. So I would have no qualms about chucking him in on Friday. Do I think that's realistically going to happen? Probably not.
It's interesting as well because obviously Hibs have well, I don't know if it's been announced as we've been speaking, but the photos I've seen today suggest that Dykes is signing for Hibs. Maybe I've been taken in by an AI fake, but I think it's an open secret at this point that Dykes is signing, which I think is an excellent move.
Another decent option for them, and again, kind of different to what they've got with regards Boyle, Bowie, even Cleege, who they've broken their transfer record for.
He was over $1 million, wasn't he? He was.
Yeah, so they've got good options. It feels kind of like Hibs teams of old, really, where they'll very much kind of take it to you, pace in the wide areas, like decent delivery, forwards that can finish. So that should make for an interesting kind of capital clash.
In 10 years' time, we're going to look at David Gray in the same way that we look at Yogi now. That's an interesting.
Tony Mowbray and whoever else. Yeah.
You're furthering my conspiracy theory about this actually being 2005, 2006, that kind of time.
This is wild.
Constant.
What's top of the charts at the minute? You have a look.
Well, there isn't really. If it's Oasis are back. See?
Oasis are back.
Oasis are back. This is it.
They were excellent. They were really good.
I hate you. I didn't get tickets to go see them. There's a suggestion of playing at Hampden next summer, so if that's the case, I will definitely be getting tickets for that, because yes, I very much getting FOMO. I kind of FOMO and yes, no FOMO. I was in Vienna when they were playing at Murrayfield, so I lost in a one.
That's it, exactly. Yeah,
exactly. I got to see United get a result against the top European side, which I haven't seen away from home as well, which was something special. I think we'll probably touch upon this because I did jokingly talk about it at the start, but Rangers Celtic, I think probably just briefly touch upon it. Woeful. It was a dreadful game of football. Terrible. Two awful teams. I find it quite embarrassing that this was the game that was broadcast in so many countries around the world. I was chatting to someone who's close to, who does some work with international broadcasting, because I was hoping, one of the things a lot of people may follow me, as you know, I nerd out on this. We're looking at how many countries that the SPFL is broadcasting to, and one of the reasons that it's got quite a good spread of countries is because of the Old Firm. And I was going to put together some little compilation, had say one of the teams scored or had been a win, of every country's commentary of the goal. I didn't have to do that. I did it. People who follow me on Twitter will have seen me put up United.
You were licking your lips at our mate John Suter potentially putting Rangers 1-0 up. However, then I mean, it was one of those. It was a pretty crap goal, even though it was offside. I mean, it was you kind of wanting like a striker to put in the box, like a kind of like Braga or. Two things summed it up for me. Obviously, that goal being one, and the fact that Rangers probably shaded it but didn't have a shot on target, which just speaks total volumes about the game.
Rotten.
Yeah,
football.
really poor. It's going to be so depressing when we come back to this and they'll have finished 30+ points ahead of everybody else.
And Celtic is still. I mean, I kind of got into a bit of crap with Celtic fans because I kind of said that O was not a good player and he's gone for 28 million. Fabio Silva has gone for 26 million, which I cannot understand that. That's
I can't comprehend that
either. I could maybe imagine. Oh yeah,
I can't for either.
But to be fair, his goal scoring record's not good. It's really not good. He scored like 9 goals in the Belgian league last year, which is for a team that finished in the top 6 is not great. But it's just goes to show you that there's a lot of money being spent in the Bundesliga. We need to have a discussion. We really need to sit down and chat about the Bundesliga, because my word, what is going on there? Like some of the terrible signings. I mean, I know I'm biased in my own tangerine tinted glasses, but I would have Sapsford over either of them. I'd have Dolcek over either of them. I'm sure you would have Braga over.
It's funny because obviously the Oh Hyun-gyu, Joe Savage spoke about that on a podcast, saying that was a near miss for Hearts, and I see that Celtic could bank potentially up to 4 million from that sale to Stuttgart. So I'm left silently fuming that didn't go through, and that he joined Celtic instead. But Still near misses. It's nothing we haven't seen before.
Yeah, no. We signed Rodney Schneider instead of John McGinn, so I still think of that. I still think about that when I go to bed every night. The guy behind me at Tannadice, who stands behind me at Tannadice, he got Schneider 7 on the back of his shirt. And the club actually,
yeah.
I can't believe I'm saying this. The club offered because it was quite obviously, a lot of people got that. The club offered a replacement free of charge, which is really top, right? And I should say the people working in the United shop or on the rest of the team, absolutely lovely, and they've been fantastic. I remember I dropped a ticket outside the shop for a game, and I went back after the games, couldn't find it, and they had it straight away. Absolutely brilliant, lovely customer service. He, however, kept the Schneider 7 for the whole season. We did get relegated. So, or 9, I can't remember. I think it was 7. I'm sure it was 7, Schneider 7. It was something like that. But anyway, I digress from that. But I think it's coming back to Celtic and Rangers. I think it's quite telling that Celtic have missed out on Dolberg. Funny as well, very funny. He looks like a good player. They have strengthened in other areas. I think they brought the boy from Boca. Was it Boca or Independiente?
Boca Juniors.
What was it, Boca? Yeah, it was Boca. And they've brought on.
He looked all right, to be fair, when he came on.
Yeah. He actually was from. I didn't see the second half live.
Your eyes let that old firm up, given how poor it was.
Yeah. I think it just kind of shows that I think Celtic have kind of gone into this malaise of, they've got such this wealth. It's like dragon sickness and Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. It's pretty much what it is. It's just like they've got this immense amount of wealth. They don't really want to spend it. They see no reason spending it, and then they finally eventually been caught out by it.
They'll never admit it, but they need a strong Rangers, really.
Well, I think
to kick the board into gear, or ideally, I mean, in an ideal world, we've spoken about other challengers. If we could all up the ante a wee bit and try and climb that wee bit closer, then that would be nice, but not holding my breath.
This is the thing for me, and I think the fans have awoken to it just about through going out Europe. I don't think the board have. I think they will only wake up to it if they get
Rangers are breathing down their necks or whatever.
No, I think it's if they get a real doing domestically from someone. If some like you remember when St Mirren beat Celtic 4-0, or Hearts beat Celtic 4-0, and but that was slightly different. But thinking about under Tony Mowbray, where it was the 4-0 game, and like that really prompted the Celtic board into thinking, right, we need to actually do stuff here. We need to be a bit more sensible what we're thinking. I think it's going to take something like that where they lose. Like they've got Kelly in a couple of weeks. Kelly, who are no great strokes at the minute. I think they're okay, but they're certainly not. I think they're probably a team that will be looking more towards the relegation playoff spot than the top 6. Being polite about it. But that's the type of game where Kelly or Celtic could easily drop points. And if they lose those sorts of games, that's when I think a side like Hearts or Hibs or United could. Not United. I'm not even going to. I can't even finish that sentence without laughing. That's where a side outside the big two will Celtic need to lose those sort of games or drop points in order to win a title, or certainly to put in a long-term title bid. Because otherwise, anyone else would drop too many points across the season. And
ultimately, we need to take advantage. Like, it's all right saying they'll drop points, but if we do as well, then it's completely meaningless. Yeah,
Hearts need to get at least a point at Ibrox. But it's the thing that would really and this is the real reason I kind of want a side of Celtic Rangers Twin League. It's just to shut up Paddy Power's Twitter account because they're really fucking annoying every season. It
annoys you. How do you think the Rangers fans feel?
Oh well. They've got themselves to blame. To be fair. Yeah. Like they've got themselves to blame, to be fair, and then get around it too easily. But I find it quite annoying. I think Scottish football talk chat when people are chatting, Celtic Rangers, shut up.
Yeah.
Looking at Rangers briefly, just for a finish, funny. But it's. I think they eventually will click into some sort of form, and I think you kind of saw a few positives.
Depends on how willing they are to be patient with Russell Martin, though, doesn't it? Like, I mean, already there's calls for his head. Already there's banners outside Ibrox and all sorts. Already there was chance of Nico Raskin throughout the Old Firm, which he claims he didn't hear hilariously. I don't know. I honestly don't know if he's going to be given that time. I mean, he'll buy some time, obviously, with that winner after the international break, as we've touched on numerous times now. It makes me feel sick talking about it. But
it's very knowing a result before the game's kicked off, isn't it?
But I don't know. Like, patience is wearing thin. It's just how
I think it's already wore thin.
Yeah.
I think the difference is it's not season ticket renewal season.
Yes.
So
yeah. Fair point.
That's probably the positive for Martin. And that the new ownership model with the 49ers, I think they will be willing to extend a lot more rope to him than the previous regime. Just because I think they're that one step removed. They're happy with making the fans unhappy for a season, or certainly for 3/4 of a season. If it gets to January and they're sitting in 8th, and he's done.
Short-term pain for long-term gain is their thinking, isn't
it? To be honest, I think I've kind of always thought Rangers need a season where they are 3rd or 4th, but where they build, and there's clearly sort of like that build into the future, and then they can go for like a league title instead of this kind of, what I don't say, it's just like sticky plaster to finish 2nd every year.
They've been looking for too many quick fixes, haven't they? And that's been the case for a decade plus now.
I mean, it's even, to be fair, I mean, even before the administration, they kind of got into that habit as well. It's something that I think Rangers, a mentality, talk about Old Firm mentality, but specifically for Rangers, they really, and Celtic's not had to deal with this for 40 years, so it's different. But there is this mentality at Rangers that a 2nd isn't good enough, but like 3rd is unthinkable levels of, this is like the worst possible thing that could ever happen. That this is worse than like any Old Firm result. And to be honest, I kind of think there needs to be, and I think Hearts spending a lot of money could hopefully fix this in a different way, but that kind of the taboo of not being in Champions League or taboo of finishing 3rd means that they keep on doing these quick fixes, and then all of a sudden they find themselves with a squad full of absolute crap and such dreck that they're not going to be able, like the player trading model doesn't exist. Like Ignomani going for whatever it was, 12 million euros. That's the first positive move they've had in a while.
And even then, they've shelled out 8 million of that on this boy Chermiti from Everton, whose goal scoring record is woeful. Let's be honest, it's really not good.
I just think that they need a year of being 3rd, and they need to keep a manager there for it, and
to drag them through it.
And they won't do it really just because the way the finance model of buying season tickets. And I think if Martin had came out and the club had came out and said, look, this is a 2-year project, we might be struggling to win the league this year, but there'll be signs of progress throughout the season.
Never going to say that though, are they?
But they can't say that. That's the thing.
No.
And I think it's just, and I don't think any club would do that to an extent. I think clubs like Hearts and Aberdeen can maybe just about get away with that. But even then, I mean, Hearts
and Budgie's 5-year plan saw us relegated. So yeah, maybe not the best when you put the time frames on these plans.
Exactly, but I think they say it's a long-term plan. I think Aberdeen are probably one of the few clubs that they overperformed in the first of their 3-year plan, or first half of their 3-year plan, and then they've kind of hit this kind of bottom out.
As well,
are they going to ever pick up from it? And I think that's probably one of the big issues with Rangers is that there is that short-term thinking, and it's the chickens are kind of come home to roost now, and the sight of the players they've signed, some of them might turn out to be good, but I mean, guys like Giga, he looks like one of the worst defenders I've ever seen play in Scotland. He looks unbelievably bad. Like Butland, who has been a bit of a gaff machine for Rangers, him in the Champions League, he was fantastic. He was literally man of the match in that game against Brugge. It could have been 12, and I'm not joking when I say that. It could literally have been 12 now if it wasn't for him. He made a number of brilliant saves, and he must have been going absolutely mental.
That's one positive for them. He definitely looks back to his best, because last season didn't cover himself in glory. But I mean, he has had to bail out probably the defence more than they would like. But Well, that's a positive for Rangers for sure.
I very much I was thinking about this because I think, and you'll probably have some more thoughts. And just one final thing, since we've been going on for way too long, but I was thinking about how many Rangers players would I take in the United squad, and I was thinking about this during the Brugge game, and I was like thinking that in a normal season you probably take 6 or 7, or maybe even more Rangers or Celtic players and put them in your team. I was thinking I'd be looking at 2 or 3 here tops. Like the quality of the players they brought in of that starting lineup looked awful. Butland was one of them, to be fair to him.
Yeah.
One. But we'll see what the later signs come on to. But there's a lot of really poor players in that squad, and I struggle to see how a manager like Martin, who isn't a hard-nosed taskmaster, is going to make them greater than the sum of their parts.
No, agreed, mate. I think he's got a big job in his hands, and maybe that's what the supporters fail to recognise. So I don't know any that are willing to give him time, but he's come out and said it himself recently as well that he's got no worries regarding his job because he's spoken to the hierarchy. So interested to see how that will develop. Yeah.
And on that note, and looking forward to their 4-0 win over Hearts next week.
Thanks.
It's time to end. Thank you very much to Adam for being patient enough to having to deal with me chatting nonsense for an hour.
Pleasure,
very well
mate.
done to you for listening to this. Except Josh and Goggsy can go sod themselves because they left early. Josh has his little bit of excuse / made one up. Goggsy's just blatant.
Greedy boy.
Greedy. But no, thank you very much for watching. I don't know when we'll be back. Probably in a couple of weeks to talk about Scotland games. The Championship pod will be back. They'll be chatting about how St Johnstone are going to win the league and whatever else is happening in that penitentiary. I don't really care, to be honest. We're not there, fortunately. But thank you very much for listening. And it's cheerio for me. And bye from Adam. See you next time.